The night cracked open with the sound of alarms as Alex Reyes hammered furiously at his keyboard, the glow of code cascading across his tense face. He muttered, "If I push this too far, they'll find me." The room pulsed with panic, each second stretching thin under the weight of discovery. Maya Chen's voice buzzed in his earpiece, steady but shaken. "You don't have time, Alex. They're already in the system." A single line of red text flashed, the firewall collapsing like a dying heartbeat. Alex's chest tightened, not from fear alone, but from the truth hidden beneath the digital veil he was about to unleash. Outside, sirens wailed, slicing through the midnight rain, proof that the net was tightening around him. Director Sloan's men were moving closer, their boots echoing on wet asphalt, shadows slicing across the alleyway toward his hideout. Alex whispered to himself, "This is it, no turning back now," before pressing the final command that would ignite a revolution. The command triggered chaos in silence, as though the world itself held its breath. Alex stared at the lines of green cascading endlessly, each one unraveling secrets buried deep in encrypted vaults. He whispered, "It's real. They lied to everyone." Maya's voice cracked through static. "You need to get out now, Alex. They'll kill you for this." His chest pounded with dread and awe, for the truth wasn't just data. It was fire, unstoppable once unleashed. Outside, thunder rolled heavy across the city, drowning sirens for a moment, as if nature itself mourned the revelation. Alex packed his gear, his trembling hands betraying both triumph and terror. Boots hammered closer, their rhythm louder than Alex's heartbeat. He stuffed drives and cables into his backpack, whispering curses under his breath. "They're coming," Maya warned, her voice breaking with urgency. The metal door rattled violently, each bang sending a jolt through his spine. He looked at the single exit, a narrow fire escape drenched in rain. For a moment, he thought of giving up, letting the storm swallow him. But the data meant everything. It was bigger than his life. He tightened the straps and whispered, "Not today." Director Sloan barked orders into his comm, his men surrounding the building like wolves. "He doesn't leave alive," he growled, eyes glinting under the glow of streetlights. Alex slipped onto the fire escape, water splashing under his boots. The storm clawed at him, wind whipping rain across his face. He glanced down, heart sinking at the sight of agents climbing fast toward him. The city stretched endlessly below, a sea of shadows waiting to swallow him. His grip tightened on the railing as he prepared to leap toward the unknown. The fire escape shook violently as Alex leapt, landing hard on a lower balcony, knees buckling with the impact. He gasped but kept moving, adrenaline drowning the pain. Floodlights swept across the walls, exposing his shadow as agents roared orders below. Maya cried through the comm, "Run, Alex, don't stop." He sprinted across slippery metal, each step a war between survival and collapse. Ahead, an open window glowed faintly, a single refuge in a world collapsing around him. The city still trembled from the storm as Alex stumbled through narrow alleys, each breath sharp in his chest. He whispered, "I shouldn't have lived through that jump." His soaked hoodie clung to him like chains. Maya's voice steadied him. "You did what had to be done, Alex. Now trust me." The faint neon of a shuttered cyber cafe drew him in, promising shelter from the hunt. Inside, the glow of dying monitors flickered across cracked walls. He sank into a chair, trembling hands pulling out the drive that carried the truth. His eyes burned from exhaustion, but inside him pulsed something dangerous. Hope. For a fleeting second, he allowed himself to believe survival might mean more than escape. The cafe's silence was broken by Maya arriving in haste, her eyes scanning for pursuers before locking on Alex. "You look like hell," she said, pulling off her raincoat. He managed a weak grin, better than dead. They huddled around the old terminal as she connected the drive, her fingers steady while his trembled. The screen flared to life, revealing fragments of classified archives. Alex leaned in, whispering, "This is bigger than I imagined." Maya's jaw tightened as fear and determination collided within her gaze. They both knew they were holding a weapon capable of shaking nations. A voice echoed through the cafe, gravelly and calm. "You've drawn fire you can't handle." Alex and Maya turned sharply to find Elias Ward stepping from the shadows. His weathered face bore the weight of past battles. "I told you one day the system would eat you alive," he said. Alex's fists clenched, "And you watched it happen." Elias sighed, eyes fixed on the flickering screen. "You uncovered something they will kill the world to bury." Silence fell heavy, the truth undeniable. Maya finally asked, "Then what do we do?" Elias replied, "We fight smarter than them." Maya paced as Elias laid out his plan, his voice calm yet edged with urgency. "They expect you to run blind, but we'll use their arrogance." Alex shook his head. "I'm no soldier, Elias. I'm just a coder." Elias's eyes hardened. "You're more than that. You're dangerous because you still believe in truth." The room filled with silence until Maya spoke softly. "If we fail, it won't matter what we believe." Alex looked at both of them, fear gnawing, yet a spark of resolve ignited. He muttered, "Then we don't fail." Outside, the storm had eased, but the hunt intensified. Elias glanced through cracked blinds, spotting silhouettes of agents gathering in the rain. "They're closing in," he said grimly. Maya grabbed her bag, determination burning in her eyes. Alex stood, the weight of the drive pressing like a stone in his pocket. His heart raced, not just from fear, but from the realization that they weren't running anymore. He looked at them both and declared, "If they want a war for the truth, we'll give them one." The cafe lights flickered, as if echoing the vow. The night pulsed with tension as Alex, Maya, and Elias slipped into the abandoned subway tunnels, their footsteps echoing against cold stone. Alex muttered, "It feels like a graveyard." Maya whispered back, "Better a graveyard than a prison." Elias scanned the flickering lights above, his voice low. "They'll follow us anywhere. The key is to stay unpredictable." The roar of distant trains vibrated the ground, mixing with the hum of electricity that crawled through old wires. Sweat clung to Alex's brow as he tightened his grip on the drive. In his chest, panic and purpose collided. He thought of Sloan, relentless and merciless, closing in with every step. They weren't running now. They were surviving the storm of a digital war. Above them, Director Sloan commanded the hunt, his agents swarming like shadows through rain-slick streets. "He's in the tunnels," Sloan growled, his breath steaming in the cold night air. His voice cut through comms like a blade, "Block every exit. Leave him no air." His trench coat snapped in the wind, his eyes gleaming under harsh floodlights. To Sloan, Alex wasn't a man but a virus needing erasure. Yet beneath the hardened orders, a flicker of obsession gnawed at him, a need to crush this underdog personally. Around him, soldiers moved with mechanical precision, rifles clutched, their boots hammering a rhythm of inevitability. In the tunnels, Alex froze as footsteps echoed nearer. A figure emerged from the shadows. Jordan Cross, his old friend turned mercenary, now a foil to his choices. "You never learned when to stop," Jordan said coldly. Alex's breath hitched. "You're with them?" Jordan's smirk carried pain and arrogance. "I chose survival, not martyrdom." The tension stretched like wire ready to snap. Maya hissed, "He'll stall us, Alex." Elias whispered, "He's here to break you." Alex clenched his fists, his past staring him in the eyes, daring him to falter. A sudden burst of light cut through the tension as a power conduit sparked violently, plunging the tunnel into chaos. Sparks rained down like fireflies, casting their faces in fleeting bursts of light. Alex lunged forward, shoving Jordan aside, as Maya pulled him down a side passage. Gunfire erupted behind them, bullets sparking against stone. Elias shouted, "Keep moving!" The ground trembled as soldiers poured into the tunnel, their shouts reverberating. The air thickened with smoke and dust. Alex's lungs burned, but his grip on the drive never loosened. The truth had to survive, even if he didn't. They burst out into an old maintenance chamber, the hum of forgotten machines vibrating the air. Alex collapsed against a rusted pipe, gasping for breath. Maya pressed her hand against the cold metal wall, eyes wide with fear and fire. Elias scanned the shadows, voice steady despite the chaos. They won't stop now. You've become their obsession. Alex lifted his head, his voice low but firm. Then we give them a reason to fear us. His words carried more than defiance. They carried the weight of someone transforming from hunted prey into a force they couldn't cage. The maintenance chamber groaned with the weight of silence before Elias spoke. His voice was low, carrying the gravity of unspoken truths. This isn't the first time I've seen files like these. Alex turned sharply, anger flickering. You knew? Elias's eyes dropped, shadows cutting across his weary face. I tried to bury it years ago, thought keeping quiet would save lives. Instead, it only fed the machine. Maya's expression tightened as betrayal mingled with fear. So you let people suffer? She asked. Elias's voice broke. I let myself believe lies. Don't make the same mistake. The room chilled, as if even the air recoiled from the confession. Alex slammed his fist against the pipe, the clang echoing like a gunshot. You lied to me, he hissed. Maya stepped between them, her voice sharp. We don't have time for this. Elias met Alex's furious gaze, sorrow etched into his features. I never lied about believing in you. Alex's chest heaved, fury and despair twisting within him. Outside, the muffled sound of agents regrouping drew closer, the reminder of danger pressing against their fragile trust. Maya's voice cut through the tension. Secrets got us here. Truth is the only way forward. The drive in Alex's pocket felt heavier than ever. The monitor sputtered back to life, casting green light over the chamber. Alex shoved the drive into the port, eyes burning with defiance. Lines of classified data burst onto the screen, each word a wound against the empire that hunted them. Maya leaned closer, her voice steady but trembling. These files connect Sloan directly to the cover-ups. Elias's face paled as names, dates, and faces scrolled past, ghosts resurfacing from decades of deceit. This is the rot, he whispered. Alex muttered. Then we burn it down. The chamber glowed with the fire of revelation, but danger pressed at its edges. The sound of glass shattering ripped through the chamber as floodlights cut across the room. Agents stormed in, rifles raised, their voices barking orders. Alex ducked, grabbing the drive as sparks burst from severed wires. Maya yanked him toward cover, her pulse racing. Elias grabbed a rusted metal bar, defiance blazing in his weary eyes. Go, he roared, swinging at the first soldier through the door. Alex froze for a heartbeat, torn between loyalty and survival. Maya's desperate pulls snapped him back. Gunfire thundered, ricocheting off steel and stone, drowning out Elias's final stand. Smoke and chaos blurred the chamber as Maya dragged Alex through a broken vent shaft. His heart pounded as gunfire and shouts echoed behind them. Alex twisted back, eyes catching a glimpse of Elias fighting like a cornered lion. The image seared into him as the vent collapsed, cutting off the view. Maya's voice cracked. We can't go back. Alex's throat burned, words breaking apart. He stayed for us. Outside, rain hammered against the city once more as they stumbled into the night. The truth was alive, but Elias's sacrifice carved a wound deeper than any bullet could. The rain-slick streets glowed with neon reflections as Alex and Maya ducked into an abandoned printing press, its machines groaning like ghosts of forgotten wars. Alex slammed the drive onto a dust-coated table, his voice shaking. This is it, the evidence that ties Sloan to the atrocities. Maya wiped rain from her face, her eyes burning with fear and resolve. If we release this, governments will fall, Alex. He met her gaze, voice steady now. Then let them fall. The shadows around them seemed to breathe, carrying the weight of truth too heavy for one man to bear. The creak of old metal stairs cut through the silence as Jordan Cross appeared, his silhouette framed by broken windows. His smirk carried venom. Still chasing ghosts, Alex? Alex's jaw tightened. You chose their leash. Jordan's eyes glimmered with twisted pride. I chose to survive. Maya stepped forward, her voice sharp. And how many bodies did survival cost you? The tension snapped like a drawn bowstring as Jordan raised his weapon. "More than you'll ever know." The betrayal of brotherhood pressed like a blade against Alex's chest, deeper than any bullet could reach. Gunfire exploded, sparks ricocheting off iron beams as Alex and Maya dove for cover. The drive skittered across the floor, glowing faintly in the dim light. Alex shouted, "We can't let him take it." Maya slid across the wet concrete, grabbing the drive as bullets shattered glass overhead. Jordan advanced, firing with ruthless precision, his face twisted with rage. "You were supposed to fight with me, Alex," he roared. Alex's voice cracked through the chaos. "You became what we hated." The printing press roared with violence, drowning out the last remnants of friendship between them. The fight escalated as Jordan closed in, the echo of gunshots mixing with the crash of machinery toppling around them. Maya hurled a metal pipe, forcing Jordan to dodge. Alex lunged, tackling him into a bank of rusted presses. They struggled violently, fists striking, rage and history colliding. Jordan's voice seethed through clenched teeth. "You could have ruled with me." Alex grunted, forcing him down. "I'd rather die free." Their clash was more than survival. It was the fracture of two lives once bound by shared pain. The press shuddered, groaning like a witness to the unraveling of their past. The final blow echoed through the chamber as Alex struck Jordan down, his body collapsing against twisted machinery. Breathless, Alex staggered back, sweat and rain streaking his face. Jordan groaned, bloodied but smiling bitterly. "You'll never win, Alex. They'll bury you before the truth breathes." Alex's chest heaved, his grip tightening around the drive. Maya steadied him, her voice fierce. "Then we make sure the truth never dies." Outside, sirens wailed closer, the storm's rage unending. Alex looked at the glowing drive and whispered, "This war just began." The press stood silent, as though history itself waited for the reckoning. The storm roared above as Alex and Maya sprinted through the deserted docks, the flash drive burning in Alex's grip like a live weapon. Maya gasped, "They're already here." Dark silhouettes moved along the piers, rifles glinting under the floodlights. Alex's chest ached, but his steps didn't falter. "We end this tonight," he whispered. The warehouse ahead loomed like a fortress, its windows glowing with surveillance screens. Inside waited Sloan, the man who had turned truth into poison. Every breath Alex took carried the weight of Elias's sacrifice and Jordan's betrayal. The hunt was ending, but survival was not promised. Inside the warehouse, Sloan watched from the balcony, his eyes sharp and merciless. His voice cut through comms, "Do not let them leave alive." Armed agents poured in from every corner, boots striking in unison. Maya ducked behind crates, whispering urgently, "They've boxed us in." Alex shoved the drive into a nearby terminal, sweat dripping as code spilled across the screen. "If I broadcast now, the world will see." Sloan's cold laugh echoed above them. "And if you fail, the world will never remember you." The air thickened with dread as destiny drew its blade. Bullets ripped through crates as Alex and Maya scrambled for cover, sparks flying with each ricochet. Alex shouted over the gunfire, "Keep them off me, I need time." Maya grabbed a discarded rifle, her eyes burning with fury. "I'm not letting them take you." She fired back, forcing agents into retreat for precious seconds. Sloan's voice thundered, "This ends with your blood on the floor, Reyes." Alex's fingers blurred over the keys, the broadcast initializing. Sweat soaked his skin, his pulse drumming louder than the storm outside. Truth was seconds from freedom, if death didn't steal it first. The broadcast screen flickered alive, data cascading like a tidal wave of truth across servers worldwide. Sloan roared, leaping from the balcony with a pistol drawn, his coat flaring like wings of shadow. He aimed for Alex's chest, but Maya hurled herself forward, tackling Sloan to the ground. The weapon discharged, the echo rattling the steel rafters. Alex froze, torn between helping her and securing the upload. Maya's scream cut through the chaos. "Finish it, Alex." Sloan's hands wrapped around her throat, rage twisting his features. Alex's eyes blurred with tears as his fingers slammed the final command. The upload hit completion, screens across the globe igniting with forbidden truths. Governments, corporations, and Sloane's empire burned in digital flames. Sloane howled in fury, shoving Maya aside and lunging at Alex, but too late. The world had already seen. Alex braced himself, whispering, "It's over." Sloane's fist cracked against his jaw, but Alex did not fall. Maya staggered to her feet, eyes blazing, and struck Sloane with a metal rod, dropping him to the floor. Sirens wailed outside as dawn's pale light broke through the storm. Alex clutched the drive, his body broken but spirit unyielding. "The truth is free," he breathed. The dawn unfolded over the fractured skyline, the storm clouds drifting apart to reveal pale streaks of light crawling across the glass towers. Streets below shimmered with rain, and everywhere, massive screens pulsed with revelations pouring through the network. Names of leaders, corporations, and hidden operatives flashed like unhealed scars across the world's conscience, each one pulling gasps, cries, and furious shouts from the crowds gathering below. Alex stumbled from the wreckage of the warehouse, his breath ragged, his face bloodied, every step heavy with the weight of survival. The flash drive burned in his palm, not with heat but with symbolism, a relic that had outlived its necessity. Maya slipped beneath his arm to steady him, her own body battered but her spirit unbroken. "The world knows now," she whispered, her voice trembling yet steady enough to hold him upright. Alex raised his head toward the rising sun, his lips quivering as exhaustion consumed him. His eyes, though swollen and shadowed, carried a glint of fire that refused to die. He knew victory had been won, but the cost had carved scars into every part of him. And still, deep within, he feared this was not an ending, but only a fragile beginning, the kind born from sacrifice and blood. In every corner of the city, truth detonated like a bomb without fire. Towering screens lit up plazas and alleys, spilling words once buried in classified vaults into the public eye. Crowds gathered, their faces illuminated by the glow of exposed corruption. Some screamed with rage, others wept openly, while others stood frozen in disbelief. Governments scrambled as anchors stammered live on television, their voices breaking as decades of secrecy crumbled in seconds. Protesters filled intersections, waving makeshift banners, chanting their cries, a mix of freedom and terror. In a small cafe with broken windows and flickering lights, Alex and Maya sat across from each other, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow yet alive with a fire that refused to go out. The rain-damp air carried smoke and the sound of chanting crowds. Maya's reflection shimmered in the cracked glass as she spoke softly. "This is only the beginning." Alex's lips curved into a bitter, exhausted smile, his voice raspy, but filled with conviction. "Beginnings demand sacrifice," he muttered, his thoughts lingering on Elias's selfless stand, Jordan's betrayal, and the countless nameless faces who would never know they had helped carry the weight of this night. The silence between them was thick, yet it was not empty. It was crowded with ghosts, with victory, and with the dread of what tomorrow would demand. Elsewhere, behind fortified walls, Director Sloane sat chained in a steel interrogation chamber, the room buzzing with the low hum of fluorescent lights. His wrists bore metal cuffs, his face carried bruises, yet his expression remained carved in stone, defiance etched deep into every wrinkle. Agents stood silently at the edges of the room, their hands hovering near weapons, but Sloane seemed unconcerned. His lips curved into a thin smile as he spat venom. "You think truth lasts? It doesn't. People will rage tonight, but tomorrow, fear will blind them again. Memory fades faster than you can imagine." His words oozed with arrogance, with the certainty of a man who had built empires from shadows. A recording camera blinked red in the corner, capturing every syllable, every glare. Alex, watching from a remote feed in a hidden safe house, clenched his fists so tight his knuckles whitened. His jaw quivered, anger searing through his exhausted frame. Sloane's voice carried the same poison that had destroyed countless lives. Maya stepped closer, placing her hand gently on his shoulder, grounding him back into the present. "Then we remind them every single day," she said firmly, her voice sharper than steel. For the first time since the night began, Alex allowed himself to breathe, realizing Sloane's chains were not just on his wrists, but on a system that had finally cracked open. That night, the rain returned, softer now, like the city's quiet morning. Alex stood on a rooftop above the chaos, the neon skyline glowing with restless life. Crowds still pulsed in the streets, their chants echoing up through the steel canyons below, but the sound felt distant, like a dream dissolving at dawn. He pressed his hands against the ledge, staring at the horizon where the faint glow of morning blended into the fractured storm clouds. Maya joined him, pulling her soaked coat tighter around her frame. Her gaze followed his, her eyes reflecting the riot of colors from the city below. "Do you regret it?" she asked softly, her words carried upward with the drizzle. Alex shook his head slowly, though his body sagged with exhaustion. His voice cracked as he answered, "No, but I fear what rises from the ashes." The city beneath them hummed like a wounded beast, alive yet unpredictable, its veins glowing with rebellion and fear. His words hung in the air, heavy as lead. Maya's silence was not empty. It was the silence of understanding, the kind forged by fire, blood, and shared battles. Together they stood, two survivors gazing at a world they had cracked open, knowing its rebuilding would not be gentle. The final moment came in stillness. On the rooftop ledge, Alex set the flash drive down, the rain trickling over its metal surface until it gleamed like a relic stripped of purpose. Its secrets had already spread to every corner of the earth, beyond anyone's reach. Maya's hand slipped into his, her grip firm, grounding him in the present, binding him to the promise they had carved out of chaos. Together they stood in silence, listening to the hum of a city both liberated and fractured, its heart unsteady yet alive with possibility. Alex's chest rose and fell, each breath carrying the ghosts of those lost and the weight of those still fighting. He whispered into the night, "They'll come again." The words weren't fear, they were acceptance, a promise of readiness. Maya's eyes narrowed, her voice cutting through the rain, "Then we'll be ready." The world glowed beneath them, its chaos painted in streaks of neon and dawn, its future uncertain, its hope fragile yet undeniable. The camera lingered on their joined hands, the rain cascading over them like silver threads binding fate together. Above them, lightning flickered once more, not in warning but as if marking the beginning of a new storm that they would face side by side.